or I think we live in a society or a lifestyle that is a lot more toxic load from the outside. So the wheat, for instance, is now sprayed with pesticides. Our sleep is impacted due to artificial light and the use of devices. Yep. We've got chronic elevated levels of cortisol because we're always switched on. Yep. So our bodies are becoming less resilient to these kind of outside impacts.
The Earth Locker.
Welcome to the Earth Locker with Tom,
Rob,
and Byron.
Jump in and watch us pretend like we're clever, but with guests who actually are.
Ganesh is such a stick in the mud. Yeah, you might be a god, but you can't dance.
Quiet, you.
Spiritual content warning. You may feel moved, but don't sue us as a result.
Or unsubscribe.
Look at that. My mate, I did that to my mate's dog, Claude.
Oh, he freaked out.
And he freaked out. Yeah. He proper freaked out. It was really interesting.
Dogs work on a different level as well, though, don't they?
He must have been kicked by a really shit Tibetan in his former life.
Not again!
Yeah.
He's really, back!
Really cruel Tibetan in former life.
He used to be a Tibetan monk and I hated it. Yeah. That's why I'm a dog now. I went backwards.
Yeah. I got de-incarnated. Yeah, that could well have happened.
Poor dog.
Hey guys, so well, it's a scorcher of a day, so we're gonna keep the window open behind us if there's some noise.
I want you to know, audience, that I campaigned hard for a shirtless episode, but so far we're wearing shirts.
I said that Earth Locker would have to pay me an extortionate fee because that's what I charge.
Yeah, but
and I was gonna pay that fee, but I didn't have the money, so
we were gonna pay in cups of tea and collagen farts.
Those collagen farts. I'm telling you, I'm on to something here.
Yeah.
As far as pure snake oil, that's going to be it.
Is that true, though?
Absolutely not true.
Oh, right. Oh. It'd be a shame because they say, cow farts is what's helping to ruin the environment.
Which is totally not true. Sorry, anyone that believes that. It's not true.
They fart a lot of methane. And methane has about 13 times the density, therefore the damage of a carbon molecule.
True, but statistically they're looking at the data all incorrectly because they're not taking into fact that even in the industrial farms, the soil still recaptures some of those carbons because those are lightly dense. They're not dense areas where cows are being raised, even on industrial level, although industrial level is bad on every which way. Yeah. But if you throw into that thing that if they're actually pasture raised and in normal corrals, they're totally carbon negative. So
the land can draw the carbon down and make it carbonic acid like in the sea.
Yep.
The problem I think is that with the commercial farming and the feedlots, right, is the sheer mass of cows.
Yeah, I know, it's so sexy.
That's the problem.
Bad.
And then not like non-regenerative agriculture is the problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So they who was it telling me? I think it was you who was telling us about. There's a farm where they keep the cows moving from area to area.
It's in the Great Plains, so they're replicating what the buffaloes would have done. When the buffalo herds were 80,000 strong, multiple of these herds, and they would just really aggressively, you move them from paddy to paddy, and I guess the paddies are like 10 acres in a bit.
They're like, we just got here.
We need to move again?
Wait, please just give us a lunch break. They're like, no, keep moving.
Keep moving. Well, it keeps the cows more active because they're
healthier, the cow.
Yeah, they're trying hard to get a little bit of grass. So rather than eating and taking their leisurely time, they eat all the way down to the root. They're forced to eat fast and move on, which is really good for the plains and the grass because it's not tilling the soil. So they just move them on. I think they only stay there for maximum.
I think creating an environment for these animals that we eat as close to what they would have in a wild environment, better.
Basically, be the pack of wolves. Yeah. Be the pack of wild dogs stalking them in the plains. Yeah.
Just to keep them on their toes.
Yeah. We could get some dog costumes.
Yeah.
Actually, I think later we might be talking to Ben White of Coombs Farms. Maybe we can asked to do that on his ranch.
I once did a film where there was a pack of wolves, and we were shooting in Budapest, and there was a wolf wrangler called Zoltan the Wolfman.
Zoltan!
And he brought this pack of wolves along. They took away the alpha wolf to train, right? And it was only gone for a few days, but in that time, the pack reorganized. So the beta wolf became the new alpha.
Oh, that you didn't become the alpha?
Oh.
I was in there in my with a hairy cape on, going, "Come on, guys!" No, I don't think I could take on that responsibility. I'd sort of slide in at the back and sort of work my way up.
And cause mischief.
But this beta wolf was quite ambitious, right? And then they brought in the old alpha wolf. They fought. The old alpha died, and they ate him.
No.
They ate his whole body, and what was left, they made a sort of taxidermy puppet out of for the film. So there's a bit in the film where I'm being attacked by a wolf like this, and it's just a wolf wrangler with the alpha wolf's former head and shoulders on the end of his arm. Going.
I gotta watch this.
I'm not a big PETA person, but I'm actually shocked by that story. I am actually shocked by that. What?
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? This is part of the wheels being greased when you film in East Europe, I think.
Ooh, shit
Yeah,
is real. I thought they would have CGI'd all that shit.
10, 12 years ago.
Some
so
of the
you'd
jobs
like
that
to
you've done, like the acting jobs, I'm always like, wow, I've never done a job like that.
That was with Nicolas Cage and
Oh, it was
Ron
that one,
Perlman
yeah.
and stuff, yeah. Yeah, where we had to do horse riding and getting attacked by fake wolves.
Is it because back in the day they just didn't care about actors? You just like,
Yeah,
we just get
yeah,
somebody
like-
else.
Yeah, or
How's
the
Nick-
animals.
How was Nick Cage? Because he's so brilliantly over the top.
Yeah, he's delightfully bonkers in a
Yeah.
very, very sort of charming and kind of childlike way.
Yeah.
You still
You
keep
know.
in touch with him?
No.
Because I used to occasionally service his fish tanks.
Is that a
Oh, has he-
euphemism?
In Malibu.
has he-
That's
oh,
a euphemism. That's-
I heard he's got a place in the Cotswolds.
He's got places all over the place. He had a castle in Glastonbury, and Glastonbury Festival rolled around the following year after we'd worked together, and I emailed him going, "Oh, can I camp in your front garden?"
And he went, who the fuck is this?
Sadly, to no avail. Yeah, but he's got a place in Bath. He's got a place in Glastonbury. I don't know if he still has, but for a while he had like 15, 16 properties around the world, I think.
Wow.
He's got
Well, he went bankrupt.
yeah. But he has a crypt in New Orleans.
Yeah.
A friend of mine did one of those above ground crypt tours that you could do in New Orleans because it floods there so regularly that they don't bury their dead. Because they just wash back up to the surface if it floods, yeah.
There's my old Nan doing the backstroke down the...
Oh, and there goes one of her arms.
There she is.
Oh, well.
See you later, no?
But the lady who was doing the tour got to Cage's crypt and was basically complaining about it to like all the tourists. So, like,
But is it for him in the future or what's it for? Okay.
It's for future dead Nick Cage.
Because I know he got super after Hurricane Katrina. He was very instrumental in bringing a lot of films to New Orleans and helping the economy. That was like
that's
cool.
his super pet project.
Yeah, New Orleans has been built. In fact, I'm supposed to be doing a movie in New Orleans this year.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice one.
Yeah,
I work
goes
there.
ahead
It's
this
cool.
year.
It's a great spot to
Is
work.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
excellent.
great place to work.
Yeah.
In fact, on the edge of town, there's an old NASA. There's a huge NASA complex, and we filmed in NASA because they're these old hangars that they don't use there anymore. But there's a bit of NASA over there that they're still using as NASA. So it took ages and loads of like
I wonder,
identity checks to get
I wonder
through.
what they do in NASA on a day-to-day basis. You know, like when there's not a moon mission.
Well, they're poking aliens, of course. We already
But
confirmed
that's
that.
my. I'm like, what are they doing? What they like? Right, lads. We're going to the moon this week. No, we're not. Right. Okay.
Any Apollos to
let's
do?
look
No Apollos to do at all.
Let's look at. Shall we look at the satellites?
Can
Let's
we,
look at the
can we
satellites.
play badminton with that extraterrestrial orb and see who wins?
Yeah, it's a glorified Google, really,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
To Frankie Boyle, who he goes, what are these scientists, these heavily funded scientists doing? He goes, I'm going to see how many Smarties it takes to choke a kestrel when they're not like trying to fix cancer and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They're all
But-
about experimenting. Those scientists.
But yeah, you might end up in NASA when you're filming in NASA or when you're filming in
That
New
would be
Orleans. Yeah, it took a serious, like, so many layers of security just to get on. You had to get your own NASA pass and stuff.
That's good. Did you keep that pass? You allowed to keep it?
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
cool thing to keep.
Can you slip onto other bases now with your NASA?
Yeah, like an FBI agent.
Dr.
I got my
Sheehan,
NASA
here I am.
pass.
In a lab coat. And actually, there was a lovely Egyptian actor called Amr, who, when he came onto NASA, he needed an American chaperone.
No.
Oh,
no.
come on.
And they got him a local 18-year-old girl who had to sit outside of his trailer. So there's some reality for you.
Good Lord. Dying wolves, racial profiling. What the heck is going on with the world?
Yeah, and he's one
You're
of the most...
bursting my bubbles. I thought the movie industry was this wonderful, iconic, glowing dreamland.
There you go.
Speaking of, I was watching that television series, Hollywood.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, how is that?
It's a whole bunch of hookers.
There you go. You're kind of watching
I was cooking the curry last night. My missus was watching the back, and just look over, there's another sex scene and another sex scene. I'm like, what the hell are you watching, babe?
It's straight up porn. It's just porn.
Hookers, eh?
Well,
wow.
A lot of male prostitutes and the actors, what are they going to do to get
Oh,
ahead,
yeah.
that
Remember
kind of
that
thing.
Louis Theroux? Did you see the Louis Theroux documentary in Hollywood? And the guys, like these straight young men.
Oh, yeah, doing gay porn.
Who do gay porn and stuff, to just try and, like, they want to get into the film industry, not the porn industry, the film industry.
Wow, that's how they're going to do it.
Yeah, and they're, like, just trying to, like,
well, we all choose a portal, to get there.
Because I know some of my producer friends in the adult industry would actually, before they consider talent, they say, well, go do one of these boy films.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that, then I know you can perform on camera. Because they don't want to
That's
ever
it,
hire somebody. That's why you see so few male talent in the industry as opposed to female talent, because it is freaking nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
To
flaccidifying.
Yeah.
Not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm... I was going to make a really bad joke there, and I'm just not going to make it. But
They nearly went for it.
But that's mad, isn't it? Like, they get paid more, don't they? They get paid more money when they do boy on boy.
Yeah.
As opposed to boy on girl.
Yeah.
Or according to this Theroux documentary, anyway.
Yeah, that was a while ago, wasn't it? Yeah. That was probably like in the 90s, but
nobody gets paid much now.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I mean, think about it, because Veronica Hart used to, when she was doing the stuff in New York City, they would get $6,000 to $7,000 for a scene.
For a scene.
Yeah, which is fair enough, because you're...
Right, so that's talking 1970s.
Yeah.
And now...
And how many scenes would you do a week?
Yeah, I mean, who knows what they would do back then. I mean, probably they would do two scenes a week, or...
Right, okay, so
or
they're
one
on
scene,
good whack.
whatever they wanted to. The porn industry wasn't
More
nearly
ways
as
than
big back
one.
then either. Good whack. That's a different rate.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I know when my friends, 10 years ago, I mean, they're getting paid $700.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So you're talking 2000. So 30 years later, and it's dropped from 7,000 to 700.
And if you listen
And
to
it's
that...
it's less now.
That John Ronson documentary, there's one Belgian guy called Fabian Tillman, who's sort of, mostly to blame in the sense that he kind of YouTubed porn. Mm-hmm. And then when he had Pornhub, he got a huge bank loan. He went around and bought all the competition. Mm. So he's kind of like the Zuckerberg of free porn.
He owns all of the free porn
sites. And so all of the scenes, all the content gets stripped off of any of the subscription platforms and put straight onto the free platforms. So therefore, the vast number of former porn customers just get it for free now.
Yeah, I mean, it's
causing serious problems. Like, there was one thing they were talking about in the Navy, the medical officer in the Navy who's keeping an eye on the lads mentally and physically and everything. And around 2007, around 2008, when porn just became an ocean of free naked people online, erectile dysfunction spiked through the roof, if you'll excuse the pun.
And chafing.
In the Navy.
Lots of chafing as well.
Yeah. And lots of sort of yogurty stains in all the uniforms. But because
it was
sex is so sensual in the sensory touch, sensory smell, sensory taste. Whereas, it's sound and vision when you're watching porn on a computer.
Totally.
And it's just not, it's not real sex, and it completely distorts one's expectations.
It does, and I think that's important because there's going to be a lot of youngsters that will watch porn and have available. Don't use it as a template.
Use
for what you're supposed to do.
Use the Pornhub in your head. Yeah.
Actually,
use this thing.
I got something from one of those social media marketing companies saying that there's some obscene number of young people, like in the 70 to 80%, that strive to be social media influencers when they grow up.
Mate, it's a thing now, right?
70% of young people want to be the next Jenner. What's her name? Kendall Jenner.
Oh, Kendall Jenner. Yeah. Well, she's got she's the richest out of all the Kardashians now.
Is that because she's an assassin on the side?
It's because of her makeup line. She's got a mad successful makeup line.
Yeah, as soon as she wears something, she's constantly cross-promoting it.
Right.
You can now buy this lipstick that I wear.
So
blah, blah, blah.
she's like...
But I mean, that's just, I don't know, that doesn't make any sense to me. How is that a real aspiration for anybody?
Well, I guess
I'm
this
sorry,
is the
guys
thing,
out there.
This is the
I
modern
guarantee
world,
we're-
though, right?
yeah.
Because that is now.
When I was a kid,
thing.
it was movie stardom, which
Yeah.
I think for most people, they see the close-up in the movie and then they see the red carpet.
But do you think
And they see
statistically it
the
would have been
success.
70% of the young people would say, I want to be a movie star? No way.
70% is a big figure, but then it's also you've got to think about what their constants are in their lives.
Yeah.
Their constant in most of these kids' lives now
is
is
this.
that, and looking at other people that are successful doing it.
Yeah.
So effectively, they're their heroes. They're their inspiration.
And living a kind of an idealized life,
Yeah.
you know, living a life that isn't real, but it's been highly editorialized to kind of seem real. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager, I watched Entourage. And Entourage just sold the fantasy of LA movie
It's what made me want to go there.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that true?
So,
I was like, I got to go to LA. This is where it's all happening.
it was just so it was like that life is the ultimate pinnacle. Look,
Yeah.
they're never unhappy. They have everything. They've got beautiful women throwing themselves. It's such a powerful and potent message, especially to people who are at that stage of their lives where they want to be liked. They want to be loved.
Actually, it's worse. I'm starting to pick up the email right now. It says that 86% of the people between age 13 and 38 want to become social media influencers.
38.
But you're not in that bracket,
38?
Byron, and
Hell no.
you want to be a
Surely,
social
are you
media influencer.
No, I do not. No, if Amanda wasn't in my life, I would never look at social media. Absolutely not.
why
She
should-
handles everything for me.
The people by 38, they're still aspiring to be a social media influencer. I mean, what have they been doing?
What's wrong with them?
Come on now,
Guys,
Jeremy.
diversify your
Now,
interests.
now is the time.
Isn't it time you did your librarian training? Come
Now
on,
we've
son.
started. 38th birthday.
on.
Today's the day.
Do something useful.
I mean, take it with a grain of salt. Who knows what the survey? It might have been a survey of like 10 people. So
86%.
And also, you know, social media influencers could be like, oh, look, today I made a paper mache salt shaker. I don't know why. Do you know what I mean? Like, in a sort of an arts and craftsy kind of way. They could be educative.
We currently and will in the future owe a lot to social media influencers
Yeah.
because they're going to give us a lot of love, and they've already given us a lot of love.
Absolutely.
On
And
the
you know
lives
what?
we've done.
Oh,
I fully believe as well that social media is incredibly powerful and useful for helping
Yeah,
people.
it is,
Like
yeah.
we've talked about this before, but it's about how you utilize it. I mean,
Yeah.
there are people that just post monotonous rubbish, and then there's people that are actually actively using it to help many,
out.
many people. And if you've got that following, that's a huge platform to be able to help people. What do we have here?
Absolutely. And on that note, when we were doing our Instagram lives to kind of prepare the ground for this podcast, my phone is crap and it kept falling over. I'd be chatting away and it would go every 5 minutes. So the lovely Shehab, talking
this is the
about
holder.
social
This is
media,
the-
they've been a bulwark for me and for us for
Really
many years.
good people.
Yeah,
Actually, all
good peoples.
Love the Shehab.
So this is a little phone stand
Cradle.
made of reclaimed wood.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Shehab, I would love one of these.
yeah.
Because that's so good. Shehab, listen.
Yeah.
If you're watching this episode, which I'm sure you are,
Yeah.
please can I have one? Right, just tell me where I
Yeah,
can
where
get
do
one.
we get one? Yeah.
Where do I get one of these? Oh, people have texted me.
There's
As you can see that.
you popular man.
I know.
I think it looks a little bit like a beach chair. It's like it's lounging in the
It
sun.
is. It's like it's lounging. You put some glasses on it.
Give him a little singing bowl.
Think about a little.
You little hippie.
That to be like a hat on him. Look.
Also, it'll actually that's really good because it'll
It's like it become like a little mascot.
we can have Byron's beat sheet for the guests so can pretend that we know I know who I'm talking to and the guests.
I feel like I need a little cloth to cover him up if he was a bit naked. I feel like I need to let's give him a little. There you go, a little blanket.
Ooh, okay, arts and
For-
crafts
for
with,
our
the
listeners,
with, the
this
bullet,
is,
with the Earth Locker.
We've just created an amazing thing.
There, he has a little shtick as well.
He has a little stick.
He's the chieftain of the tribe.
He is, yeah.
Here, speaking of guests, who's our guests today? We've got two guests.
We
today.
got two guests. We have Amy and Jeff from
One of them. Sorry.
from Hunter and Gatherer, which produce and distribute and make some really amazing paleo, healthy condiments and supplements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter and gather, yeah.
So one of them hunts down the animal, and the other one gathers the animal, right?
Yeah.
So one of them slays the animal in the forest,
Yeah.
and then the other one drags the carcass
Because they
away.
do things like liver and heart organ meat capsules.
Yeah.
And I think it's Amy that does the hunting. She's quite good with the crossbows.
She's very good.
And she
She's
shoots them all, and
she's
then
like
Jeff
Xena
kinda
warrior
skins them.
princess.
Yeah. And then she eats some
No, I
of the
don't think
flesh
that's how it
raw. She eats some of the raw flesh because
If you go onto the website, you'll see the opening page is basically Amy chowing down.
It's a little bit
some
like
liver.
the Walking Dead, but the supplement version.
On a still living fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's hunter and gather. But yeah, they basically come from like an ancestral sort of way of looking at food, which is something that I'm really interested in and believe in a lot. Actually, that we look back at our ancestors.
It cured her celiacness, going on to this more paleo style diet.
Yeah, and Jeff, her fella, he's sort of lived this lifestyle for a long time now as well. And between the two of them, they realised that it wasn't, especially in the UK, because in the US they've got what's it called? The Mark Sisson's company, Primal Kitchen, where they have like mayonnaises and things like that are all made from avocado oil or and free range egg and stuff. And there's no rubbish in their condiments, right? And they realise that there's no one really in the UK doing that. And they're not doing collagen peptides and things like that. So that's what they do. They have all these amazing collagen products, these mayo products that are all completely clean.
So you have collagen as a supplement, do you?
So it's a powder. And it's 100% collagen peptides, which is the collagen that you get from a grass-fed cow.
Right.
And it's hydrolyzed, and then you put it in a bag, and you can put it in. So I've got a bone broth out there, which I'm going to have. And I just put it in. Yeah, puts a bit of extra collagen in there. In coffee.
What does it do? How does it help us, the humans?
So collagen's really, really good for gut healing, number one, and gut health in general. Really good for your connective tissues, for your skin, your hair. Nice. So we really need collagen. There's a lot of people that actually claim that collagen should be like the fourth macronutrient, so protein, carbs, and fat. Collagen should be a fourth one.
Certainly in West Hollywood, where I used to live, you see an abundance of collagen all over the place. You see it sort of
so much collagen.
like just sort of the faces get kind of wider.
Well, it's one of those reasons why people start looking. One of the things of aging is because you're losing the collagen in your face. You don't actually make more collagen.
Yeah. You stop making it
at a certain age.
Yeah, you stop making it. Yeah, so
that's why babies are so chubby and cherub-like. They're just plump with collagen.
What's your lovely excuse, Byron? You're still making collagen. Look at you. You've got the face of a 4-year-old.
Yeah, what is my excuse? I'm Japanese.
Yeah, that's the it's that lovely Asian skin.
It is incredible how I look. Sometimes when we're doing these podcasts, I look across and go, "Oh, skin's flawless." Like it doesn't crack.
If only he'd gather me up in his mighty arms.
And he's older than me.
Yeah. And it's been a life of casual abuse. You know,
it has been a life of casual abuse on some level. I mean, I've not messed around. Hey, so I think our guests might be here.
Are they?
Can we ask our wonderful Chris? Let's let these guests in.
Have they been in our waiting room?
They are in our room of waitingness.
What's it like in our waiting room, I wonder? Is it, oh, there they are. Hello, they're lovely.
Can you hear us, guys?
Attractive
young. Here we go.
How are you doing?
All right, Amy and Jeff, how are yous?
Yeah, good.
How are you?
We're very good. Very good. So a lovely warm day. Is it a warm day down there?
So hot.
Oh, it's so warm. And we've had to close the doors because the neighbours, you can hear them. So we got a fan with some ice.
Makeshift aircon.
Makeshift aircon. Have you put a bag of ice in front of a fan?
We really have, yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Facebook life hacks actually working for one.
Actually, yeah. As our podcast day goes on, we might have to start loading up the ice packs on our necks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
We have got an aircon unit, but it's in our bedroom, and it's
really?
Pretty darn heavy to bring down.
Where are you, Jeff? Are you in the south of England?
Yeah, southeast Essex.
All right. So you've an aircon unit. That's quite. When do you use that? About 4 days a year, do you?
We do. It's been a good return on investment so far.
Nice
one. Well, thanks for coming on and chatting to us.
Yeah, we've just been chatting about what you guys do. It'd be good to just hear from you, like what your story is, how you started Hunter and Gather, why you started it, what's your
and then
little journey?
Amy, I heard that you were the hunter and you were really good with a crossbow.
Yeah.
And you would get the animals, and then Jeff skins them and gets their organ meat. Is that how that
comes
works?
Along with his little bucket.
What's the origin story here? That's what I want to know.
Dart.
I know, everyone always thinks the hunter's the man, but that's another topic we could get into another time.
No, I
But,
immediately thought it was you.
Yeah. The female of the species is more deadly than the male.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
My wife will prove that theory.
Yeah, definitely.
So, no, you are correct. I am indeed technically the hunter of Hunter and Gather, and Jeff is Gather. And this is down to both ancestral philosophies that we believe very much in looking back at our ancestors and how they ate, how they lived, how they moved, how they slept, how they had in their communities, for us in the modern world, what learnings we can take from that. And also it's our grandparents' surname. So mine is Hunt on my mum's side, and Jeff's got a line from a line of Gathergoods.
Oh, what's Jeff? What's yours?
Gathergood.
Gathergood. It was
Meant to be, guys. What?
It's
How cool is that?
pretty good one, but that's not the reason why initially we were called something else. Not happy to disclose what we were called beforehand.
Yeah.
Something else doesn't sound
Yeah,
right.
come on.
Lawyers.
Yeah, something else is a terrible name. I wouldn't call a company something else.
Something
Terrible
else.
name,
Something
terrible
else
name.
limited.
Something else.
But we got issued with a lengthy document to ask us to change our name, even though we had it trademarked previously.
Did it come from the past? Was it some cavemen who had some copyright?
We trademarked it.
Yeah, it was the guy with the club. He weren't having any of it.
Yeah.
He'd turn up at your door.
Yeah, mate, those cease and desists are really something. They're lawyers that sit around on retainer just to mess with people. My buddies, so I'm a brewer as well, who have Redwell Brewery. They got issued with the cease and desist. They had to change their name from Red Bull because they had to color red. They started with an R, ended with an L, and Red Bull said you had to change the name of your brewery.
Oh,
Wow.
And then it got in the press, and like, why is Red Bull picking on them? And the big executives finally stepped in and said, "What are you doing, you Muppets in law?"
Wow.
Well, back down. Just sign this little thing that says you'll never make an energy drink, and we're cool. You know?
Wow.
Crazy, isn't it?
But yeah, just these lawyers just start messing with everyone.
My neighbor downstairs is all about copyright infringement, copyright disputes.
Can we get them on ours? And just anyone with the word Earth would just like, "Grr, get them."
Yeah, exactly. Let's get litigious.
Sorry, we digress.
Did you? I hope that wasn't a lengthy and boring process. And Hunter and Gather seems to be
It's a
like
great
it.
name for
a
your
nice
ethos
iconic
and-
name to have landed on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it took 10 minutes and it was just like, oh wow, that makes a lot more sense and it's a lot more.
There's nothing
Memorable.
like pressure on the human race to come up with some cracking ideas.
Yeah.
I know.
Solution oriented, man.
Yeah, we
It's a
really
lot of
done
pressure.
think- And we was basically about to launch with this other name, and annoyingly, it was kind of a fight to say that you can use it, and we was quoted about a six-figure number to even attempt. And obviously, we didn't have that as a startup, self-funded startup at the
But
time.
the lawyers stand with a carrot and say, we think the other party's being a little bit, bit strong-handed, and you'll probably win, but it's going to cost you X amount to pursue it. Where is that?
Yeah,
And-
my
and
hourly fee is
Yeah.
staggering.
For the sake
And
of
I know
it.
you was joking about the Earth in Earth Locker. That was the situation.
Oh,
It's part of a name of another name of a brand that was not in this country, and it was just incredible. So we literally redone the packaging, redone the name, we sat down and we did it all pretty much within a day, didn't we?
Yeah.
wow.
Guys, you should watch out for Footlocker, right?
So we're not the only ones hell bent on global domination. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Correct.
Oh
Correct.
no.
So when you guys, obviously, I read a little bit about yourself. You met when you were how old? The twos of you, because you's a couple.
16, 15,
Wow.
16.
And
That's rare.
Yeah. So yeah, 15, 16, we met at ice skating in Romford, of all places.
Nice,
Wonderful
nice.
market town. And yeah, we kind of knew each other for a while, and then it was about a year and a half later where we kind of made it more formal. And yeah, the rest is history, as they say. 11 and a half years down the track.
So,
sorry,
go on, Tom.
I was going to say, so with your health journeys, how did they kind of combine for you to both get to this place where you were like, this is the route we want to go down in terms of our own, eating habits and stuff?
I mean,
and then
Jeff,
making it a
you were a
company?
surveyor, is what I read, and then
Yeah.
Amy, what you working in pet food? What were you doing?
So So yeah, a lot of people think when you come up with a business idea that it's just bam, you have this amazing idea and that's it. But actually for us, it's been a journey, and we are relatively young. Like when we started this business, we were mid-20s, and a lot of people are like, how have you got to this point? And like, how? But actually, it starts from 18 months old, in my case, of being diagnosed as a celiac. So I really had to, back then, food labelling was completely different. You didn't have bold allergens on pack. There wasn't even a gluten-free aisle. So you really had to be hot on understanding what you were eating.
That's incredibly young, Amy, to be diagnosed with that. Like, how did they, at 18 months, were you having severe symptoms at 18 months?
And what were they?
Yeah.
My mum, I think it's called punami, where you basically
Excuse
have
us?
a tidal wave of poo explosions, basically.
I've had that.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not what you were thinking, I think.
Not a poo nanny, a poo.
Wow. So there was a lot of the old runs happening.
Yeah, very kind of bloated stomach, crying, obviously. And as a young child, my mum says I didn't complain too much, which...
What's changed?
Yeah.
no complaining between weeping and shitting. That's pretty decent of you.
Yeah, exactly. It's my all the way through.
It'd be tough back then, Amy. Tough back then to be careful in terms of being gluten-free. It must have been tough. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, there was no specificity. There was no huge food knowledge around that. And even I used to get terrible stomach pains as a kid and trapped wind and stuff, you know. But there was never any sense that it was coming from my diet. So how did you guys arrive at that conclusion?
Yeah, so obviously I stepped into Amy's life, 16, 17 years of age. And I remember her mum coming home with a box of gluten-free food from the doctors. And it was like, that was all 12 years ago. And how times have changed. You've got whole aisles now of gluten-free foods. But similar to yourself, I was experiencing significant GI distress as a teenager. Significant chronic acne that just wouldn't go away. I had eczema as a child. I had several courses of antibiotics. But I thought this wind and this trapped wind that I would contain when I was around Amy's parents' house as a late teen. 3 hours later, you're leaving. You're like, oh, I'm so relieved I'm leaving now. But you just think it's normal. You start to normalise it.
You just accept
and
it.
that was back in 2008, and we wasn't so fortunate to have information on content on YouTube that talks about IBS, or doctors weren't so familiar with it. So it was more a kind of a discovery of, oh look, Amy has a significant issue here with gluten. I wonder if there could be an interaction with someone that's quote unquote normal. So it kind of come about then. That was 2008. And it wasn't until 2012 when I went and visited a physiotherapist. I was just training for a marathon, had no idea what I was doing. And he just a throwaway comment. He said, hey, Jeff, you do realise you haven't got to be eating all these refined carbohydrates if you want athletic performance.
Right.
Watch this video by a guy called Gary Taubes or Gary Taubes. It was a video on YouTube in 2012 called Why We Get Fat. And for some reason, it piqued my interest. I went home, watched it, and hey, here we are now. That is literally the start of it.
That's it, man. Like, you do realise, because a lot of these people, I mean, you guys obviously probably know about Mark Sissons as well. Mark Sissons,
absolutely.
He has all these theories on the ketogenic diet and stuff, and he was an ultra marathon runner, right? And he had all these issues when he was younger, being an elite athlete, but eventually came down to the realization that it was all to do with these grains and stuff he was eating, like carbing up all the time, and then actually transitioning to a more fat-based diet is far more optimal for our bodies.
So that brings us round to the cavemen. They're out there, they're hammering saber-toothed tigers over the head. They're dragging them back to the cave, much in like Captain Caveman from my youth. So what can we learn from these sexy cavemen and women, do you think, folks? Like what you were saying about the old primordial ways in terms of diet and that helping us in the modern world.
I mean, that would be helpful to actually just... Do you guys actually classify what you do as a paleo and what that means, or how would you describe the products you make or how you live your lives?
Yeah, so we have the hunter and gatherer name, like we mentioned. It gives kind of a nod to the Paleolithic era, that kind of caveman sort of style. Our fundamentals as a business is products that are focused on optimal health, and we are
Supporting.
and we realise that each person's optimal health can vary as well. So in terms of what you eat, but there are some fundamental principles that we kind of operate by, live by ourselves. So hunter and gatherer products are always free from sugars, refined sugars, low in carbohydrates where possible, free from grains of any kind.
So tell us grains. Give us a few example of grains for ignoramuses like myself.
Yeah, many people don't realise what grains are.
It's true. So wheat, barley, corn.
But where is that? That exists in things like bread. It exists in cereals. Rice, for instance. Many people can actually do okay with rice. It crops up everywhere, even in makeup. Like there's grain. What's it called?
There's cornstarch and
hidden wheats. There's like terms for wheat that you
it's
might
like the
not
sugar thing. There's like hidden
realise as
terms.
well. And all this, like you said, same with sugar, so like maltodextrin, people are like, what's that? But
so they crop up everywhere. And so in summary, our promise is always to be free from sugars, grains, and inflammatory oils. And the reason being, we see so many positive and elegant outcomes by just removing those three aspects from someone's modern diet. So in terms of the kind of the paleo, you asked a question about, do we classify ourselves as paleo? I think we try to kind of veer away from ideology. So people that understand what paleo is or keto or even carnivore, it's like, we speak their language. We really understand what they're doing, and why they're bringing that intervention into their life. But as a brand, we want to be all encompassing.
Yeah, and I also think it's important that because that's one of the biggest issues I think with dieting in general is that people go, okay, so how do you eat? What's your diet that you're on? What is it? What's it called?
Exactly.
People need to label it, and I'm like, well, why does it need a label? We just eat these foods.
Religion,
Yeah, exactly. It becomes like
Catholics and Protestants, right? It's
Yeah.
like, who cares? Who cares?
Exactly.
It become dogmatic. But there's, for instance, like we're in the UK, right? So we're in the Northern Hemisphere. There's emerging research and anthropological data that would suggest that most people that descend from Northern Hemisphere are likely going to do better on a more ketogenic diet throughout the winter. That's what
fruits would have been less available to us.
Exactly. Whereas now we live in kind of a 24/7 summer. We've got artificial light in the evening, so our circadian rhythms are disrupted. We've got food on tap. You can get it delivered from delivery. You can do all these funky things. And then people start developing chronic lifestyle diseases. Don't realise. Go to their doctor, get a tablet, and you're in this vicious cycle. And you don't realise what good real health feels like.
Yeah.
And so to be clear to people, we do not live just in a wooden shack with campfire. We are we're a modern couple, but we utilise the learnings, like we said, to bring into our modern world. And part of that for us is providing convenience also. So healthier products that are also convenient for people because working, got kids, got families. We're trying to provide superior choices, basically, to what's available.
Hey, Amy, so when you were growing up and you were diagnosed as a celiac, did you then, was your mom and your family big cookers then, or did they have to become more home cooking just to get things that you can eat? And then is that where this kind of came with you doing products on the side as you were growing up, which kind of, how did, because I had your mayonnaise. Best mayonnaise I think I've ever had.
Incredible mayonnaise.
Honestly, the best mayonnaise I've ever had. It is so delicious. It's just spot on. It's just great.
And do you know what really makes me laugh about our mayonnaise product is that when we launched it, it's obviously only got 4 ingredients in the classic, and normal mayonnaise has got like 13, 14 plus. We even had one customer. One customer actually emailed me last week about a catering mayonnaise because they're a chef, and it had 28 ingredients.
It's crazy.
What's it all doing in there? It's unbelievable. What's it doing?
Pure,
like beautiful mayonnaise music.
Fillers,
who's testing those products and going, you know what, we really need these 20 in here. It is missing these. Like, who's doing that? Why? Like, it always tastes better when it's fewer ingredients. Is it? I mean, you'll know this because it's down to you've obviously done the food science and stuff. But in terms of, is it preservatives? Is it like, what is it that's different about yours that means that it doesn't need all those bits of crap?
What are those things? What are those additional unnecessary
why do we need
refinements?
3 things. So shelf life. A lot of retailers want a really long shelf life, so they can buy products, put on their shelves, and have that security and commercial kind of security. So number 1 is shelf life.
Which is funny, because if it doesn't sell within that time, you'd be delisted anyway. So it's a bit like they want to take eating it, and that's it.
Surely there's health.
So the low fat kind of dogma, reduce the fat content. So, for instance, our mayonnaise is 81% avocado oil.
Yeah.
A lot of these products are 30% oil, so they want to reduce the fat. Bring in more water, which means bring in more emulsifiers and thickeners.
So we should take a moment to talk about that, actually, because the whole killing the fat myth, as in fat being bad for you, is a really interesting one, because a lot of your products are very high fat and good dietary fats, right? Yeah. And I think people are still so confused about this.
Like even in the 70s, The Meaning of Life by Monty Python. At the end, they go, well, we never really got around to the meaning of life, but, be nice to people, your neighbours. Don't eat too much fat. And it's funny because I remember resaw that a couple of years ago, and I went, fuck, that's a really bad piece of advice from Michael Palin.
Yeah, fat is so complex. I mean, there's so many different types of fat, and that's why I think it's very confusing. And the type of fat that Amy and Jeff put in their products is the kind of fat that is actually very beneficial for our bodies. And then you've got like trans fats from certain oils, like vegetable oil, canola
delicious
oil,
muffins
that are highly toxic for our bodies.
Are they? What happens when you put a trans fat into your bod, Tom Hops?
Well, there's a whole kind of process, but ultimately what happens is a thing that we want to all avoid is a little thing called inflammation. So we get internal inflammation. It increases visceral fat, which is the bad kind of fat that surrounds our organs and makes us very, very ill. So it's the inflammation is the root cause to almost all chronic illness.
Right.
So reducing our inflammation anywhere we can by reducing things like sugars, grains like these guys, and avoiding things like trans fats, there's just some of the key factors that you can use to reduce inflammation.
Do you know what's mad? You go to any shop, Amy and Jeff, these days, like a trendy cafe or a news agent or whatever, and just at the point of engagement, just so you're honouring your legal obligation to pay for the whatever you're buying, you're just hit with a avalanche of delicious treats.
Like before you go here,
you've got a big tray of croissants next to the chocolate croissants, next to the chocolate almond croissants, and Rob's there shaking and sweating.
It's food porn. It's food porn.
It's a really interesting topic because it's not even necessarily about food as such. It's merchandising and cash in the pockets of the shops, because ultimately the aim of the shop is for you to have as big a basket spend as possible. So purposely, if you go into a supermarket, why are the things that people go in there for a destination? So if you want to go and grab your milk,
it's at the back,
or maybe a bottle of booze if you're a drinker, but it's always at the back, and they want you to walk through, and it's
like a casino.
The stores are built in a way. It's like IKEA. You can't ever get out that place. You've got to go through the whole maze, unless you like it. You've got to go through the maze, and on your route you pick up these bits. And the best time to advertise to children, people that are hungry, families in general, they actually look for your pain points to pick on you.
Or your addiction points, I think. As soon as you're addicted to sugar, which I would say most people are to some degree or another, that's a powerful addiction, and God knows I have to do battle with that beast on a fairly regular occasion.
It's not just you. They're tricking you psychologically to encourage you to pick up that item. Like you go to a petrol station, you're not going to see a sofa for sale next to the till, because it takes longer in your mind to think about that. But something that's £1 less cheap, you can grab it on the go. It's taking out the thought process, and the amount of advertising we get in a day.
I know, it's mad.
Incredible. It's increased significantly.
But, it's tapping into your dopamine. If you're standing there and you're waiting patiently in a queue, you want something to ease that momentary pain. You either flick out your phone. So phones might be a good thing. It may stop you buying a bag of Maltesers, eh?
So tell us about the pain there, Jeff. The pain of you mean like waiting?
Yeah, it's an inconvenience. It's a friction point in life, isn't it? It's again, I'm not an expert within this field, but
especially during the lockdown and everything.
Yeah, boredom. I think boredom
and
the feeling like you should be eating and feeling like you need a snack.
Isolation and feeling this sense of like disconnectedness from our community. We can go down this rabbit hole as well. Marketing's a fascinating thing. So our society, like in the Western society, I see it as we listen to marketeers rather than our great grandparents or our grandparents.
100%, yeah, 100%, yeah.
There's maybe a lack of culture, and instead of saying, "Oh, this is how Granny used to do it," let's boil our bones and create this wonderful bone broth. Instead, we listen to marketeers, and that is really kind of upsetting.
Yeah, we were saying before about that the law, I don't know if it's a universal law that you can't patent anything natural. Like that garlic is a natural antibiotic, but you can't own it. You can't patent it and copyright it. And so
it's why a lot of
what it gave birth to was loads of people going, all right, well, we'll create loads of unreal stuff, and then we'll hire centuries worth of marketeers to convince you that it's the only way.
Yeah, it's better than nature.
Yeah, it's better than nature.
Better than the willow tree in your sucket.
The willow tree that did my veruca.
Veruca.
Yeah.
But these things are great for the convenience of industry, in my opinion. It's a very cynical outlook, but a lot of these things are created primarily to benefit industry, and they're commercially oriented. So when you start producing a mayonnaise that costs 5 times more than the conventional mayonnaise that's on a shelf in your local supermarket, it's very difficult for us to make headway at first with the retail buyers, because they're like, well, it's a big risk. Why would we want to put this wonderful, high integrity, higher price point product on our shelves against something that is as cheap as...
And mayonnaise isn't even supposed to be white, isn't it? Like, it's usually kind of egg yolky, typically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's quite. So we have got an egg-free one and ones with eggs as well, and you can definitely see the difference. There is more white sort of
Why
colours.
is it white? Why do they make it white?
No, that's the emulsification of the oil.
Yeah.
Just naturally, like whipped cream. Like you're whipping the oil to get it viscous.
Yeah, it does naturally come, but there is a science behind different countries like their mayonnaise different as well, which is really interesting. Some of the big companies spend thousands and thousands and thousands on researching colour, taste, specific, but we just make something natural, and the colour is the colour.
Hey, so when you were making your mayonnaise at home, and you just literally made it 3 times and said, "Now I'm going to start a company." How did this come about?
How did you discover the mayonnaise?
Briefly, so I can just snapshot up because we missed about celiac journey as well. So it was a food trial that I was put on for 6 months, scoping, looked at my gut lining, incredibly damaged, and I was put on a trial where I had to eat as much wheat as possible in this period of time to cause as much damage as possible.
As much wheat you can in a minute.
Shove it all in. I think that's when I started moaning. My mum was trying to me. God knows what it was. But I obviously reacted so badly from the scoping, they diagnosed me for life and the celiac for life. So from that point onwards, the only kind of way to live with celiac and be healthy through it is to take gluten out of your diet completely. So
the other thing, Amy, my cousin Breege, lovely Breege, she'd have, if she has a bit of wheat, it's days, it's days of being fucked.
Like toxic to your body, right?
Yeah, it's a really tough thing on a celiac system, isn't it? It's like,
and even many of us are gluten intolerant and don't know about it.
Yeah.
So many of us are. Take it out of your diet for 21 days and see what happens.
Why do you think that number seems to be increasing so?
Well, there's 2 types of gluten as well. I mean, there's like a sort of the more traditional kind of gluten changed the way they do things. I mean, you know about this because of the bread system, but the modern gluten that we now have is a very
trendy
different, it's a very different
gluten
beast
in skinny jeans.
And it's far more toxic.
Yeah, all the soft wheats, which are hard wheats. Yeah,
because they're the genetically modified.
Well, no, they're different strains of wheat that we started using as opposed to local ones that introduced a wheat that gave us a higher yield and a longer shelf life. Yeah, that's a bog standard white flour that everybody uses.
Dwarf wheat.
It's a hard wheat from Russia, I believe.
What's
That's
that?
the original.
Sorry, Jeff?
Yeah, it's a dwarf wheat. And a lot of people talk about genetic modification, but in fact, a lot of these wheats have been crudely modified. So they breed two different types together. Who knows what we created? No one's ever said, hey, is this fit for human consumption? Okay, it's not acutely toxic, but what are the ramifications over a long term?
Well, chronic disease.
And you say, hey, like, why do people have more gluten issues now? Why do people have more intolerances in general? Well, I think we live in a society or a lifestyle that is a lot more toxic load from the outside. So the wheat, for instance, is now sprayed with pesticides. Our sleep is impacted due to artificial light and the use of devices. We've got chronic elevated levels of cortisol because we're always switched on. So our bodies are becoming less resilient to these kind of outside impacts.
I suppose we're living in a much more chronically impacting world now. Like before, like from an ancestral point of view, like everything was kind of acute. Like we'd have to run and like get our food. We'd have to run and do this. We'd have to fast for a little bit, and that would be an acute. It's all acute things. Whereas now it's like this chronic things that are happening to us.
You know, the spiritual teacher Alan Watts from the 60s, he talks about in the West, man and woman are encouraged to identify with the spotlight consciousness, you know, whereas we are also a floodlight consciousness, you know, that's sort of taking care of everything else going on in your being. Everything you've ever seen, experienced is beating your heart. It's regulating your emotions and your temperature. Your organism is being run by the floodlight far more than the spotlight, but we are encouraged to be, you know, in that spotlight, which means that we are not this, we are not our bodies, we are not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that that sort of compounds the problem, you know, that it's the sort of conditioning of thought in the West that sort of led to, of course, we can just pervert nature to satisfy our needs. Yes, efficiency. All this comes from a sense of separateness, I'd say, you know, from everything else.
And also self-reflection. I don't think we necessarily stop and pause to think, do I feel okay?
Yeah.
Like, how am I feeling?
Yeah, what is supposed to be normal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this rash across my arm? Is that normal? Oh, I'll put a cream
I've got
on
a cream
it.
for that.
Oh, use the cream, right?
Use the mayo.
Or people that have migraines daily, weekly.
Yeah, thinking that's normal.
Just think that is life and they have to deal with it. That self-reflection of thinking, am I feeling the best that I can? Do I feel like I could do everything that I wanted to right now? Or do I have an ailment here, there and everywhere?
Yeah.
So I think that self-reflection and that spotlight of looking at yourself is key as well.
That's being aware. It's like the inflammation thing again, isn't it? All those things are sort of sources of causes of inflammation. And it's like joint pain, tendinitis, things like that. If you've got anything like that, first thing you should be doing is looking at your diet and whether you are like taking in too many grains, diet, you know, gluten and lectins and stuff.
I mean, what point, Amy and Jeff, did you guys actually feel you turned the corner? Because obviously you weren't having gluten since the age of 18 months, but you also said you were having acne and things like this as teenagers. So at what point did you actually feel, oh, now I've come through, I've taken on enough?
Yeah, when was the epiphany moment?
For sure. So for me, it was 2012 when I stumbled across Gary Taubes.
Yeah.
Went down that rabbit hole.
Do you still ultra run as well?
So no, Gary Taubes is he's a scientific investigative journalist, and he's the one that's kind of really pushed on it's not about just calories, it's about the quality of calories and the insulin hypothesis. So I went down that rabbit hole, read this book called Why We Get Fat, sitting in the back of my lectures at uni, sitting there reading this little yellow book. I should have been listening about building, but I wasn't. I stumbled across more of the paleo principles of removing the sugars and the grains. And I had done it. I just said, hey, I'm going to do this. And prior to that, it'd been very much a go into the gym kind of diet. It was protein shakes, oat into my protein shake, trying to bulk up. And this was really transformational. It really was an epiphany. So I removed those things from my diet. And I remember it being about a 6-week process of removing sugar and waking up each morning and thinking, oh, another day without sugar.
Yeah.
How's this going to be?
Yeah.
But I feel really lucky. I was 21 years of age at the time, and most people do this. Most people find out this sort of thing maybe never, or maybe at 42 or 62, for instance.
Yeah. Jeff, would you include honey in that, Jeff? Would you have taken out honey out of your diet?
Yeah, I took out everything that had sugar. So I really wanted to be as extreme as possible to understand. Yeah. And in hindsight, that was a good thing to do because it recalibrated my palate and it recalibrated my metabolism. So 2012, 2013 was, I didn't really know much of the background. There wasn't a great deal of information. There wasn't kind of Instagram and Twitter and all this sort of stuff with this, as much information as there is now. There wasn't Tom Hoppy, talking about it on Instagram, for instance.
Why is he getting the spotlight?
And because I've seen Tom's videos. His workout Wednesdays, right?
Because he gets to work with me.
Every Wednesday, baby.
Yeah. but moving on from there is I went into my graduate scheme as a quantity surveyor and felt very much unfulfilled. I was sitting at a desk for 10 hours at a time. I was having coffee in the afternoons. I was still trying to remain kind of low carb, paleo-ish. I just felt like something wasn't quite right. And for some reason, like my inquisitive nature, my desire to want to give back, to enrich other people's lives, to encourage, to mentor, to teach, I wanted as many people as possible to feel this transformation that I'd had. And I didn't go from being obese and diabetic to being normal, quote unquote, but it just felt like a huge transformation for me. So I personally explored graduate entry medicine. I was looking at becoming a nutritional therapist. I even looked at personal training courses because I just wanted to be out of this corporate world that had very little it didn't resonate with me. Whereas being involved in the health and wellness space, but in a slightly unconventional way, was really what was the catalyst to this. I started a small building business with my dad because I had that kind of wanting that entrepreneurial flair, but again, that didn't scratch the itch. I went and worked in a school for 8 days as a teaching assistant.
8 days?
8 days I lasted.
You really saw that one out. Well done, Jeff.
Of course
you went deep on it, Jeff.
Yeah. Deep dive. I'm going to get to the heart of what's going on with these kids.
Literally, I was like, I really want to try and help these kids eat better. I was coming to school with cans of energy drink at the age of 13.
Yeah.
On medication, I was working in the special educational needs department, and there was having the head of the department was bringing donuts in because she thought the kids needed breakfast in the morning. I actually thought that was really important, and I just put my head in my hands. I was like, I can't help out here. So it then moved on to, we've been making this food at home. We believe there may be some other people here in the UK and maybe Europe that wants this stuff. Again, the sector wasn't very, very connected at the time. We didn't know about the keto groups and all that sort of stuff.
We didn't know the size of what we was about to embark on, and I'll just overlay very briefly as to how we ended up together in the same space of starting a business. Throughout this time, as Jeff was doing this learning, I remember him going from really hangry and not being able to come shopping with me for a few hours because he had to have a snack, to really changing and being able to run kind of marathons, ultra marathons without having to fuel himself.
What's an ultra marathon? How do you get the ultra stitched on the front there?
You take LSD. It's anything over 26 miles. I think 30 miles is when you do it. Okay, my ultra marathon was 50 miles. There you go.
All right, 50 miles of running.
Mate, that's interesting, Jeff, because
that's amazing.
Because obviously, there's a lot of people now talk about long distance running and for longevity and health and stuff not being the best. But you obviously have such a massive interest in that. Is this something that you still do now, or have you stopped doing that, or how do you feel about long distance running now?
No, it does cause some dissonance, and obviously you start to dive into literature. I try to be quite responsible with my training, so I kind of make sure a lot of it is aerobic. I think what happens in the mainstream kind of fitness industry is you get this kind of mindset of no pain, no gain. Yeah. And everyone thinks you've got to knock your...
Go on, you're all right. Listen, you're among swearing sailor friends here.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks you've got to knock your bollocks out to make progress, right?
I think the same thing with diet, I think, sometimes as well, Jeff. Yeah. I think that people think you've got to punish yourself and suffer. Yeah.
Punish yourself.
That's generations of Christianity and fucking Catholicism and Protestantism driven into us. You have to dig holes.
The white cornflakes are made in a minute.
Yeah. But sucking down on sugar, syrup, energy gels and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I run about 40 miles a week. I track my HRV, I track my rest and heart rate, make sure, obviously, key recovery indicators. I'm responsible with it. Yeah. But, you know, is it something that we would have done throughout history? I don't know. But I appreciate it may not be the best for longevity.
You're quite built, like you're quite a sturdy looking fella.
Yeah, do you weight train as well,
when
guys?
when you did the marathons, were you a slenderer fella?
No,
really.
No. I'm not built for running, really. I mean, I'm only like I'm 5'10". I'm not hugely built at all, but the top runners are like 55 kilos. I'm about 75 kilos. Yeah. So there's a big difference there. I just enjoy the solitude that comes with running. You know, you can get inside of your own head, go out, get out in nature.
You might like that book by Haruki Murakami. I haven't read it, but I just know that it's good.
I like it anyway.
It's called What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. It's quite a small book, but apparently it's really lovely. It's just this lovely man who runs long distances and writes books and does all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the running thing is interesting because, I mean, obviously there's a lot of studies about longevity and health for long distance running and what the effects it has on your joints, and you know, doing these extreme distances can have long-term negative effects on your heart and cardiovascular health, right? Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting because some of the people I know that are in the best shape, like incredible shape, and you know, my mate Zach McGowan, who's in Black Sails with me, the guy is absolutely shredded out of his mind and has a lot of like he's big as well. He's a big dude. He's kind of built like a caveman anyway. Like he's just like he looks so primal, but he every single day without fail will run like 15 miles without every single day.
Yeah.
And at the end of his run, he goes and does his pull-ups and his press-ups and stuff, and that's what his routine is.
Yeah,
and it works for him.
Some people swear by running.
Swear by it. He absolutely swears by it. He said his life changed when he started doing running. He was like, he said, you know, why do people run? Why do people run? And I started running. I was like, oh my God, that's why.
Yeah, no, totally, same experience for sure.
Yeah, so I think some people do. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's a part of our genetic makeup that they.
I think it's meditation.
Yeah,
it's part of it.
It's rhythmic. It's like, you know, it's almost like chanting with your feet.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about mindfulness, but you know, when you're running and if you're not kind of having any inputs, it's the most mindful time. It's solitude. I think a lot of us have got solitude deprivation because we're so connected all the time.
Yeah, solitude deprivation. That's a lovely. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, I love that phrase. So yeah, that's my time when you just kind of reflect on the world and realize things aren't that bad, and you know, you come up with plans, you solve problems. So yeah, I think, and again, I think Homo sapiens, man, we traversed long distances in our ancestry. Was it running? Maybe not. Would there been times of running? Probably. Yeah. You look at the guys in East Africa still, who, you know, persistent hunting and it always works out roughly 26 miles. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows?
That's interesting. Yeah. I remember once I trained for a bit for a marathon, but after about a month I stopped because I'd lost so much weight, and I'm a skinny enough fella anyway. But I kind of lost all. Sort of any old size I had of my shoulders and chest started to kind of go. I started to look a bit more like Sonia O'Sullivan, and I was Irish running champion. God bless you, Sonia. You made us proud. Until Atlanta, where you shit yourself on the track. Quite literally.
They all do that at some
point. But I stopped. Just stopped for that reason. But plus, you know, I was wary of the fact, you know, your ankles and your knees and stuff, and prolonged running can kind of have a effect on your joints, right?
Did you find any of that, Jeff? Have you, for so much time, you've not had any?
Not at all. Quite the contrary, in fact. So, again, I think it's another kind of persistent myth where people are, they think their joints are made of stone, right? So they think it's just one finite bit of material rubbing against the other bit of material, and that's it. But no, it's a living organism.
Yeah.
So if you give it stimulation, the musculature around it is going to support the joint better. If you're eating a good animal-based diet, in my opinion, and you're getting great protein and cartilage, and you're eating things like collagen, for instance, you're going to be restoring that joint all the time. But if you're having a diet that is high in phytic acid from grains, you're going to be blocking nutrient absorption. So yeah, why would your joints not degrade or degenerate within that kind of environment?
Yeah.
So I think it's context dependent for sure.
So that brings us on actually to another one of your amazing products, which I've been using for a long time, and I use it for Freddie, my son, for his smoothie in the morning to help heal his gut. Is your collagen peptides. So a lot of people don't know about collagen peptides, but they were a complete game changer for me. I mean, in terms of digestive health and gut healing, it really is amazing.
So most of us in the Western world are having lower levels of protein in our daily lives than we should. And with collagen peptides, it is a protein. So it's over 90% protein.
Wow.
And within that, it's got essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids as well. So in our particular collagen, there's 18 amino acids, 8 of which are essential for health. And because we're not having as much kind of like bone broths or utilising non-pretty cuts of meat, or some people choosing to,
yeah.
But it's all kind of trust and put in a packet, and that's how we're doing it. A lot of white meats versus other meats, or people that have read a lot of media and maybe taken meat out of their diet or reduced their meat intake. You're actually not helping with those essential amino acid levels. Now, collagen peptides, it's hydrolyzed. That means it's broken down slightly, so it's highly bioavailable, so your body can utilize the collagen. I think there's miscommunication around collagen, that you put it on your face as like a beauty cream.
Good old cosmetic.
But that does not, it's not bioavailable in the same way as ingested hydrolyzed collagen.
What's the collagen that folks inject into their face? Is that a different refined collagen or something? Isn't that like a filler?
It's more of a cosmetic oriented one. It's to bring back plumpness to the skin. That's essentially what that is. So.
But collagen, bovine collagen that we have at Hunter & Gather, if you ingest it, so you would take sort of 2 tablespoons a day, or you can adjust it varying, depending on your protein requirements. But that kind of helps heal from within. So you get the gut health benefits. So repairing leaky gut. You've also got the bones, joints, tendons support. There's been papers released about muscle repair post-exercise that can help speed that up.
But it's fascinating. So time's gone by. We would have chewed on a bit of gristle, maybe swallowed that gristle, which is obviously high in collagen. Yeah. So that gristle then goes into our stomach, and then it gets turned into short-chain fatty acids. And I think that's why it's pretty good for kind of energy metabolism, but also for like leaky gut and things like that.
Nice.
And why you have positive outcomes with things like autism or people that have got all sorts of kind of
celiacs and stuff, who have got damage down there. Yeah.
I'm driving up to a football game once. Our neighbour was telling us when he was young, him and his brothers and sisters used to put the pig's ear between 2 slices of bread and eat it like a sandwich.
Oh yeah.
Great collagen.
Just
why not?
bang straight off grizzle sandwich.
Yeah, all of these things are overlooked now in our very hyper processed Western kind of diet. Standard Western diet or standard American diet.
The thing is, I was going to say as well, like what's important to let people know, I think as well, is that the quality of the meat that's used for the collagen, because there's a lot of commercially farmed livestock, and
it's worthless.
And with they're fed corn and soy, or chickens that are fed a lot of corn and stuff. The quality of the collagen in that animal won't be of a high quality. But what I love about what Amy and Jeff do at Hunter & Gather is it's 100% grass-fed cows, right? So the quality that's going to be in those cows is in the collagen is much, much higher than you get in a
if you put a bowl of grass, a bowl of corn, and a bowl of soy in front of a cow.
Yeah.
Which one would it go for?
Ooh, that's an experiment.
We should definitely experiment with this. Let's give it a go.
I mean, naturally it's going to go for the...
Or maybe we could bring the cow here in the studio.
Just stick him on there. We'll get Daisy out the back.
I think it's really important about the quality of where things come from as well. We really go into that, and we're really transparent. So in terms of like...
Say that with more conviction.
We are very transparent. We're basically see-through.
But we really are. And that's one thing. We hate brands or businesses that take advantage of people's good intentions.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Right.
oh man, it drives me insane.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, what's this article I saw? You guys talked about sourcing your avocados from a certain area in Africa, and I thought, oh, are they just being ethical for the sake of their business, or is this what you actually believe?
yeah, I hate that cringeworthy. Let's do it for the marketing. No, like if you've got good intentions, I believe you will succeed, and people will gravitate towards you. I hate that sort of BS that exists.
It's odd. It's weird in the world today where every consumer has a sort of a existential consumer weight on them that they're not sure if they're contributing to cruelty across the world. And now we're starting to see a lot of that redemption capitalism marketeering, you know, where they're trying to absolve you of your guilt while still creating the bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's this weird fucking circle that big companies like Starbucks are doing, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
It comes down to like the logos on the back of food products or other products as well. There's one that looks like 3 arrows in a triangle.
Yeah.
And loads of people think it means recyclable or recyclable packaging.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It means that they have offset monetary to a recyclable or association that can help with that. But actually the product itself, the reason I know this is because of my pet food, which we touched on at the beginning. I worked for a major corporate in the pet food industry who does human food as well, and I saw firsthand vats of caramel going into pet food that did not need to be there.
Vats of caramel.
Caramel sugars to go. If you look on the back of some of the major corporate pet foods, hopefully I don't get sued, I'm not saying any names, but I went to the manufacturing site, really got into understanding what went on in that industry, and then I moved to a grain-free natural pet food startup and saw through pet food industry what is going on, what's happening, and that led us into obviously human industry as well.
Another inspiration.
But they did it on pouches, pet food pouches. If you look at them, they've got this symbol, and they go to landfill. They're not recyclable at the moment, but they've got this symbol on it. And it was only from working for the company I questioned and was told the truth because I worked there.
It's a monetary contribution.
And it plays on people in a marketing sense because you see that triangle, you think it means one thing.
What are the other symbols that we see on packaging that use that, like the fair trade symbol?
There's a blue frog.
Yeah, there's all kinds. I mean, do you guys subscribe to any of those things onto your packaging? Are they actually meaningful? Are they like go into where you get your avocado oil from? Because I actually hadn't heard that story.
Yeah, we get asked all the time: are your avocados organic and are they fair trade? Now we know another company within a similar region to where we source our avocados and the farmers we work with.
Which is where?
Which is in Kenya, so East Africa. And we have worked, so yeah, these farmers, they're under fair trade agreement with this other company and are not treated fairly. Like they're not paid on time, they go without payment. The avocados that are deemed organic are in like more of a monocrop kind of entity. But hey, Amy can tell you more about the avocados.
So we went and visited the farmers when we first kind of started out, and we went and what we use in Kenya is we have one central pressing, so we ship. So we ship the oil as liquid because it takes up a lot less room rather than shipping obviously full avocados. So it's pressed in Kenya, and we utilise lots of different farmers. So they might only have 3, 4, 5 trees, for example. It's a small family farm, and they come together in what they call co-ops. So they support each other in terms of financial, if they need to share money between them, or they need a piece of machinery or something like that, a tractor or something. But we went and visited these small-scale farmers. Now, we were the first European people they had ever seen.
Well, in a business, I think in more of a kind of a formal capacity.
In a business sense. So
I've seen them on TV.
But in terms of what I mean there is a representative from the UK. So these guys had never seen someone in a business sense actually come over and take the time to invest in understanding.
Amy, were they all a bit like, oh yeah, things is good here. Things is great.
The kindest people we've met, and like we was asking about like the family cow that they use the manure to to fertilize the soil with, and we really got to understand their ecosystem that they live in.
Cool, yeah, nice.
That's it.
And it was so powerful, and understanding how they use kind of physical fly traps rather than pesticides they spray. And so yeah, there's a lot of misinformation. And
are they high altitude, those farms, folks? Are they?
Yeah, they are at altitude. Yeah.
Oh,
so it's about 3 or 4 hours north of Nairobi.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Because there's a lot of bad press coming out about avocado farms and stuff. You know,
in Mexico, Michoacan is the big one, yeah.
So some people are like, oh, well, I won't touch avocado because of this, that, and the other. But it's important that people know that your products aren't from those places in Mexico.
Yeah.
And also, it's not as terrible in there anymore.
I think it's not as bad, is it?
Yeah, it's things.
I think if you look at any food industry, like you look at honey, there's a whole bad lot of people in that industry as well.
For the rest of you.
And what we want to do is obviously with these Kenyan farmers, they are doing amazing work. Like we said, they don't use pesticides, it's all hand-picked avocados, they use fertilizer from the cow, and they don't want to crop. They've got coffee growing alongside, and it's all in this, avocados grow naturally there as well. So it's not like there's water irrigation systems happening. They grow in Kenya anyway.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Are they? Is there a lack of water there in that region? Does it need to be irrigated or?
Not at all. They have a vast rainy season, so we're always chatting to the guys out at the mill who press the oil for us, and they're like, oh, we want the rains to stop because that's when the avocado starts to mature and bits like that. So there's an abundance of natural resource for sure.
Yeah.
But back to that point about the Mexican avocados.
Yeah.
I'm always interested to follow back why these things are being published in our mainstream media.
Yeah.
For instance, in America, a lot of these tropical oils, such as coconut oil, olive oil even, and avocado oil, they're a threat to soybean oil. They're a threat to cottonseed oil. They're a threat to canola. Here in the UK, for instance, those oils are a threat to rapeseed because rapeseed is a wonderful British crop that is pressed into oil. Well, no, it's not. It's a monocrop and is a shit ton of pesticides that are used to allow it to grow. So
in Ireland,
we've got to think, what is the agenda behind this? And that's what I do. I question that.
That's great. I think you're so right there. I think you're so right to see what sort of information gets disseminated through the press. And you see around London, you see pictures in people's windows saying, no cado. And it's like, now you've just completely drawn a line under avocados. Because there was Mexican drug cartels intimidating farmers in Michoacan. And it's like, that's a thing that's constantly evolving and changing. And it's like, you're so right there that people don't question why they're being given certain information like that.
And we were talking about this earlier on before we started shooting about how like people just gain up that little bit of information, tiny bit of information, and then go, right, that's it. I know it all about this thing. And then realize the more you learn about that thing, you go, oh, actually, I know nothing. There's a whole other world here that I don't know about.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful saying, the further away you get from the shore, the deeper the water gets.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true.
It really is. And I think that's what happens with kind of a lot of the plant-based arena as well, the plant-based kind of narrative.
Yeah.
People kind of latch on to, we're preventing animal cruelty. And it's not that simple. It really isn't. And, you guys are all for a regenerative planet. Be better Earthlings. You've got to understand, you've got to dive deep but we don't. We're all so time poor.
I think people are very emotionally swayed. People become emotionally influenced by something. Yeah. Then they choose to leave it alone.
Like you're just being critically uncritical about everything.
Yeah.
You tell me one thing, that's it. I know it, but you gotta always question. Always question.
Always question.
Never consume. Hey.
Don't watch too much.
One of the
porn,
products you
lads.
guys do is like
Especially with avocados in it.
The organ meat supplements. I've got a great relationship with my butcher, so I'm always noshing on kidneys and livers and hearts. Next podcast, I'm gonna bring my sous vide hearts. They're amazing.
Yes.
They're so good.
Byron does some great healthy food for these podcast days. It's great.
So why are these supplements? Why should people be taking them? And how are these sourced from the same place you get your peptides from, or?
No.
So with regards to, if we look back at ancestrally, we would have eaten all parts of
cavemen
the
again.
animal.
Nose to tail, right?
Nose to tail eating, exactly. So not only does that provide essential amino acids, but vitamins, minerals, your B12, your iron. We would have gone for cuts like the organs as a delicacy.
They were cherished.
Yeah, they were the first bit because they're so nutrient dense. There's good fats in there as well. Now, fast forward to where we are now, and you get the reactions like, and it's because we've gone through this relatively rapid change of how we view meats and where they come from.
Indoctrination.
So for us, our values are, like we mentioned, supporting optimal health. So look around. There's people getting vitamin B12 shots synthetically in their arms. There's these synthetic supplements that are all full of bulkers, fillers, sugars, seed oils, horrible chemicals that just aren't needed if you was to eat a nutrient-dense diet.
Do you know, friends of mine have had to, when they're working with movie studios, have had to get B12 injections.
Keep going.
As at the start of the production.
Yeah, I've got mates who are a band who do like these massive tours, right? And they all get these B12 injections before it.
Actually, no, I did that 3 nights ago.
Just eat nose to tail, maybe.
My friend came by and gave me an IV of B12 and a Myers cocktail.
How did you feel afterwards?
Sorry, buddy. I actually felt the same.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Because I'm actually, I eat a lot of
stuff.
stuff.
There's a placebo effect there.
Well, not placebo. I'm not vitamin deficient.
Oh yes, exactly. You feel the difference. Yeah.
So Amy, sorry, I cut across you.
That's all right. I was going to say as well, it's also very individual. So, for example, Jeff. I was going to say Jeff. Jeans. He has a snip on a certain gene. It's MTHFR.
MTHFR.
Oh, close enough.
I've got a polymorphism that means that my methylation pathway is pretty much like it's rubbish. I'm in the least common one.
Which means what, Jeff? Sorry.
Go on, Jeff.
Yeah, so it means like detoxification pathways are inhibited. I need more B12, I need more folate, I need more riboflavin. I would be a crap vegan. Let's put it that way.
Right, I get
you. For Jeff, he obviously needs to be really aware of that. And through this process, we kind of knew the benefit of organ meats. I was very much in the, I can't quite stomach it. It's not what I'm used to. Really trying, but just not able to cook it. And we discovered, I think, where did we meet?
Yeah, again, we're our customers first and foremost, right? So the reason we started mayonnaise, we wanted the product, it wasn't available, we started making it, and we was like, hey, other people want it. And again, with the organ supplements, it was about a year and a half ago, I discovered my requirement for more of these B vitamins, and you go down a rabbit hole. Like you start thinking, oh, nose to tell. Okay, why is everyone not eating like this? You start seeing that there was the mad cows mad cow scare back in the 1990s. So people went away from offal. So there's all these different reasons. And we was like, hey, like people.
And it gets identified with pet food, I think, doesn't it? Tripe and all that type of thing. It goes, well, that's for the pets. That's not for us.
But we heard it more and more that people wanted it. We started to look for where we could kind of get these organs from, and was it going to be lamb? Was it going to be cow? And we kind of hit upon Icelandic sheep because they're the purest breed of lamb in the world. They got taken over there by the Vikings 1,000 years ago or so, and they haven't been mucked around with, and they're essentially wild roaming animals.
Did you see that? Oh, sorry, Amy, go on.
I was going to say, that comes back to the quality of what Tom mentioned before. So these are wild roaming, grass-fed. They are out on the mountains. They're utilising land that's not used for any other kind of means. They're also a really hardy little bastards.
You guys would love this Icelandic film called Rams. You should check that movie out. It's about two sheep farmer brothers who hate each other in a rural valley in Iceland.
Brilliant.
We'll watch that one.
It's great. It's really good. It's really, really good. But that's Icelandic sheep. Because it's one of the big things of Iceland, isn't it? Sheep farming. It's like the kind of backbone of
and they're really got stringent regulations to protect this industry as well.
Heritage.
So there's like no antibiotics, no hormones, no genetically modified food. So this all feeds down into why we chose the Icelandic lamb, and we then freeze dry the organs, so they are pretty much raw but freeze dried. So you lock in all those benefits of like vitamin B12, the iron, vitamin A, CoQ10.
They're bioavailable, right? So it's sort of about bioavailability. So you know, you can go into your health food store, you know, on your high street and see a B12 supplement. It's not even the one that our body can synthesize. Like, it's not even bioavailable. Whereas our bodies know what animal foods are. You know, contrary to a lot of the popular headlines, our bodies can make use of it straight away. And for me, out of this whole journey over the last kind of 8 or 9 years, consuming more organs has been a game changer for me. So in terms of...
You've convinced me.
No, it really has. And
we'll get you some supplements.
It turns out, digging further into my genes, I've also got an issue of DAO, which is an enzyme that breaks down histamine. So, for instance, red wine, I always get an itchy nose, don't feel too good. But DAO is in kidney. So if you consume kidney, you're absolutely fine.
I used to love steak and kidney pie when I was a kid.
Take away the pie, eat the steak, eat the kidney, you'll be good.
Well, I think what's really interesting, Jeff, which you touched on before, and we talked about this a lot on this podcast, because we work a lot with Viome as well. And the microbiome, one thing it's teaching us is that every single person is completely different and everyone has different needs. And I think one thing we've learned from things like the vegan movement and all these things where some people have amazing results and then some people almost die on it, and then some people will have amazing results for like a year and then they have to go back. I think we've realized that every single human body is completely different, and we all have these different nutrients that we need to tap into to see what we need, like you say, like whether we have the methylation gene or not.
How did you know, how did you learn this about yourself, Jeff? They're very, very specific things you've learned about your own physiology there.
Yeah, so I got the fundamentals right at first, you know, making sure that I'm removing the sugars and the grains, looking at sleep, looking at relaxation, looking at movement. And then obviously it's kind of, you want to always improve. So you start digging into, what could this be? I've got a mild symptom here. What could this be? So I just got the genome sequencing done by 23andMe and went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, you did that way. Amazing.
Right.
I've got mine to do later, actually. I haven't yet done my gene testing. So I've got mine here ready to go today. I did like an intolerance test, and I found that really useful as well
really
for a starter. Because although I was diagnosed celiac, there were other foods that I felt were triggering, such as cow's dairy, for example. So that intolerance test was quite useful for me as well. As a steer, these aren't panaceas.
It's not prescriptive.
You're not all of a sudden gonna turn into a Superman from having one of these tests, but
it's just giving you as much knowledge as is available to you, I think.
I think also when you take those tests, your body and physiology changes over time. You actually need to retest yearly or whatever it is, because like my missus, we did a carnivore diet for a little bit, and that got her through a little rabbit hole of her Hashimoto's, and then it's just not right for her anymore. So we're going on to something else. Because her physiology changes, her reactions changes.
Yeah, it's the same as the microbiome.
You got to keep testing yourself.
Well, that's what's interesting about like the Hadza tribes and things like this, that these hunter-gatherer tribes that have these incredible diverse microbiomes, is because they're one of the only ones that completely eat just seasonally. So they hunt when they need to hunt, they eat what they catch, they'll eat a bit of meat here and there, so they're getting those nutrients, they'll eat nose to tail, and then whatever's available on the fruit, on the trees and in the fields, they'll eat seasonally. So the more we eat seasonally, so that means that our microbiomes, i.e. our whole bodies, are changing all the time.
Do you know as well, in Guinea there are hunter-gatherer tribes that invert their penises before they go hunting.
I'm doing that.
Which literally means pushing it back up inside your body.
Wow.
They can turn their willies inside out.
That's a skill. That's a party trick.
And what supplement will you make on that?
And I think, Bruce Parry, who does those exploratory BBC shows, he did it. I think he did it. He went as a guest. He was an honoured guest.
Made it into his Audi into an innie.
Yeah. Not just for belly buttons. That's a tagline.
Oh, great time, guys.
All right, guys. Well, listen, it's been so good chatting to you and hearing all about your story, hearing all about the products and how beneficial they are.
hunterandgather.co.uk.
.com.
They got the .com. They got the
.com. Well, I'm definitely gonna try out, especially the organ supplements, because I've got that high street B12. I've been persistent with that shit for months.
The old H&B.
Yeah, exactly. The old Holland and Barrett. Two people who, frankly, I've never met and probably know fuck all about the health industry.
I think they know lots, but
I don't care. I'll say what I like.
No, thank you for the opportunity, guys.
No, thanks for
pleasure.
coming on, guys.
You
Thanks for
guys
taking
are
the time.
so well informed and so lovely.
No, it's really refreshing.
thanks for what you guys do. Love your products. I'll be using them from here on out.
Keep
Thanks,
hunting.
guys.
Keep hunting, Amy. I want to see out. In fact, we could do a field trip where we fashion some crossbows and
Because
arrows.
you ride a horse, don't you? So can you actually shoot an arrow off a horseback?
Yeah, like a
I'll give
Mongol
it a
soldier.
go.
That's impressive.
You're like the little girl from that Pixar, from the movie Brave.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
She's got a bow and arrow, yeah.
Around the Essex forest.
So I got a 5 and a 1-year-old. We watch a lot of Pixar.
Yes, we do. All right, blessings, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, guys.
Cheers, guys.
All
Take
the
care.
best. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty.
Okay. All right, they're off of there.
Should we
We can do a
close it
little.
up?
We can close it up.
Yeah.
You can change the resonance of this by putting water in it.
Oh, like an instrument.
Can we do it just by spitting?
Yeah, just we'll make a spit pile in it, and it'll slowly change over
Higher
time.
pitch. Get almost a little chaw going.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that was really, really lovely. It sounds actually really good. It's look, okay,
It sounds really
100%,
It's very-
and I think you agree.
That's
I
your
like this
low-
over the tuning fork.
I agree.
Yeah.
That
This
freaking
is
tuning
far-
fork.
The tuning fork was
no.
not good.
This
No,
is your gut
this is
chakra.
nice.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
your
good
gut
chakra.
You're down here. That's your low resonance.
Oh yes, it feels good.
Yeah, man. It's beautiful.
I did a session with one of these. You know, Kirk Howarth. Oh wow, it goes across the. Oh, it feels good.
I did a sound bath class in Bali,
Yeah.
and it was this Italian fella. He had about 9 or 10 different size bowls, and he'd come round and like right up in your ear. And by the end, I was crying for half hour at the end of the class for about what I couldn't say.
Because you've gone deaf.
Chakra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't hear anything. You're questioning why. It's because you're deaf.
I'll believe any old thing.
Oh, anyway, guys, yeah, Hunter and Gatherer, go check them out. They're great. We like them a lot. They're good
We
folks,
do.
good
They're
peeps.
They're good people,
info,
and
yeah.
they've got the right
And,
intentions, which
helpful
is
info.
the most important.
Yeah, and that's it. Just be critical, guys. Everyone, please be critical of everything out there. Not one thing fits everybody. Try it all. See how it works
Ask
for you.
why. Keep asking why.
The Earthlock.
Listen.
The Earthlock. The Earthlock.
Listen.